sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Welcome into a Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Man, we got a ton of weekend stuff to go over. I'm excited. I'm jacked up. Nick Geddes is joining us here. We are in our home studios today. It's kind of a Monday like that. There's just too much to go over to spend time on the crowded roads here in Tampa Bay. So I have to devote all of my prep time to staying right here to deliver for you guys. Good morning, Nick. How are you, buddy?
Oh, I don't mind it whatsoever because in my situation, it gives me a little bit chance to get some more sleep in. So
That's not what you're supposed to say, bro. You're supposed to say you're working hard.
Oh, I am.
I didn't sleep until 8:10.
Yeah, no, but I kid. I've been up getting everything together for this morning because, like you said, this was a big weekend, and honestly, I think it was a weekend we needed in Tampa Bay sports. I mean, all three teams, honestly, I think had a banner weekend, or at least a banner close to the weekend.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Lightning,
I would agree wholeheartedly. That game last night really had the feel of a turning point in the series. And it was a must-win for the Lightning. So we'll get into all the different machinations that this game produced last night. Now, a quick aside, do I still feel like the Lightning are the better team? I don't know about that. But I will tell you this, they are the more determined team. And that sometimes in close series, usually actually in close series, is the difference. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. The Rays complete a sweep this weekend of the Twins. There's a lot of good stuff going on with the Rays. We'll get into that between the pitching and Junior Caminero. And, lots of good stuff going on with the Rays. We'll get into that. And, of course, the Bucs draft, which I feel like, in terms of filling in all the check marks of what you needed to add to this team, that was an absolute masterclass in filling needs. And, especially when you get the good fortune of Ruben Bain falling to you, that sets up your whole draft. And then now you can maybe, just go and play. You're playing with house money and you want to just fill those spots and see what you get. A lot of intriguing prospects that they brought in. A lot of very intriguing prospects that I have a lot of, to me, the draft is all about fit. It's all about fit. It's getting guys to fit your scheme. I think if there's one thing, a few things that you learned about the Patriots run, it was that even though Belichick was not a great drafter of players, they always found players or that fit needs for them. And their scheme was good, and they found those players. And I think the Bucs did a great job of finding players that fill needs that were desperately there. Now, how good these guys turn out to be, nobody knows, but we're going to go through all of them and kind of look at their strengths and weaknesses and talk about all that. So, and a little bit of, I promise you guys, we won't do much on the stadium, but there's just a couple little things we have to touch on from the weekend that were positive, because this is the place you come for actually more balanced coverage of the Rays Stadium, and we're here for it. So we're just going to jump in with the Lightning last night in an absolutely phenomenal come-from-behind win over a very, I think, talented Montreal team. And a team, this, to me, there's obviously the rivalry with the Panthers. This is the up-and-coming team in the Atlantic. There's no question about it. Montreal is a very talented team. Marty's got them playing really well. But last night, I'd say the two wins that the Lightning have in this series, I'm not even sure they were the better teams in the game, but they just willed themselves physically, emotionally, and behind a goaltender who is hot as a freaking sun right now, and Andrei Vasilevsky, who's keeping them in the series, quite frankly. The amount of high-danger chances that Montreal is getting, and, I see the stat sheets, but I think it's even higher than they're talking about. And Vasi has been absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not saying a couple of the goals he wouldn't want to have back, but it's the other saves, I think, that are more than making up for where for some of those other things. I mean, he has made so many incredible saves. There's no question about it. But Crozier's hit on Slafkovsky last night was an absolute banger. And the biggest shock to me is there was no penalty. Not because it was worthy of a penalty, but in that Bell Center, and that place is just chaos. I told you guys before the series, you don't know, because you just seen regular season games basically against Montreal. I was there in 2004 when Lightning played up there, and I'm going to tell you, in my 40 years of covering sports and live sporting events, that one ranks in the top 5 just in terms of atmosphere, because playoff hockey in Montreal is just something different. And I think you sensed that last night, Nick.
I don't know if anything tops the atmosphere that you see in Montreal. I really don't, across the National Hockey League when it comes to playoff hockey. And it starts before the game. Like when I turned the game on yesterday, I had the ESPN feed on first before I was able to switch over to Scripps. And they just they laid out and they just let the natural sound go. And just the energy, the sound, the towels waving, the national anthem when they sing the Canadian anthem, when it feels like you've lost the game before it starts. It kind of has that feeling to it. And, yesterday, I've come around at this point in the series, and we're 4 games in, and sort of what we expected. You look at all the other series around the NHL, you had Colorado blank the Kings, and they move on, 4-0. Buffalo's up 3-1. Carolina got a sweep. Philly's up 3-1. Anaheim's up 3-1. Utah's up 2-1. And the 2 series that we knew were going to be the best series in the first round are absolute dogfights. Minnesota-Dallas is 2-2, and this one is 2-2. It's tight. Shots on goal are incredibly hard to come by. It's like impossible to just get sustained shots on goal and pressure, because both teams appear to be a little bit more evenly matched. Now, with that being said, I think I would probably tell you that Montreal's been the better team in this series. I think I would tell you Montreal's been the better team. Maybe you can make an argument Montreal's been the better team in every game so far. And I'd probably tell you the only time in the series that the Lightning have truly played their game was in overtime of game 2, where they just absolutely had sustained pressure and they suffocated Montreal. I thought at times yesterday the Lightning's game was really, really good, but I've just come around to the fact that, okay, they're probably not going to play the way that they really want to. You're not going to see the great, you see it in spurts, right? Because there's a lot of talent out there, but this is truly a series about who can grind it out the most and who can stay in it mentally, and which goaltender can go out there and give you the best shot to win. And both of them, honestly, are doing a fantastic job at that. Vasilevsky and Dobish as well. But the Lightning to stay in that mentally yesterday, and, when they went down 2-0, from the fan perspective in me, it's like it's a roller coaster. They go down 2-0, and I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm saying out loud, this team just doesn't have it. They just don't have it. They showed Cooper on the broadcast, and he looked bewildered. The look on his face kind of showed that he thought, okay, we just don't have it. Cooper's switching up lines constantly, trying to find the right combinations. You've seen different guys in and out of the lineup at every game. Yesterday, it was Oliver Bjorkstrand's opportunity and Max Crozier's opportunity to get in. Marty hasn't done that at all with Montreal. They've had the same lineup the entire time. So I think that's kind of indicative of how the way both teams sort of feel about where they are right now. But the fact that they were able to keep responding and get that big goal right before the end of the second period ended, and then get one coming out of the third, and then late in the game where they were able to, withstand a huge, there was right before that Hagel goal from the Kucherov shot that, obviously just goes right off his chest and in. There was a big surge from Montreal right there, if you recall.
Yeah.
And the Lightning withstood it. And then they get that goal, and they were able to hold on even after Kucherov took a slashing penalty late in the game. So that's the mental toughness that a veteran team is finally starting to show. And I think that is big for them as this series continues to go longer.
Yeah. The high danger chances, 75% for Montreal through the first 3 games. 24 generated versus 8 allowed. That's a dramatic number. And it that screams how the hell is the Lightning won any game. The Lightning actually turned that around in this particular game, but they were still down 2-0. And But to me, the overarching thing when I'm watching this game is like they go down 2-0. I'm like, it's over. Like
right.
I'm like this atmosphere is absolutely suffocating. And I know the Lightning are pretty good at using that energy from the crowd. They play well on the road. They're really good at turning that around and using it as motivation themselves. And I thought you got to feed off this, and they kind of started to do that. And I think that hit on Slavkovsky from Crozier kind of did that. It kind of, it made them all about, a 1.5 feet taller on the bench, and they just kind of physically took over after that. I thought
the amount of Montreal fans, by the way, about that hit that have been going on this morning and last night, about how that should have been a penalty. If some people were saying this morning that should be a suspension.
Get out of here.
I don't know, but I think people nowadays, and Imblom went off about it yesterday on the broadcast about how we don't see stuff like that anymore. These big open ice hits. So when they happen, everybody's just like, "Oh, that's a dirty play. I can't believe that just happened."
Right.
And in reality, it's just guys who are skating around with their head down because it's been out of the game for so long. So guys just feel like they could just skate with their head down. It's both teams. It's every team that does it. Every player does it. And give Max Crozier a lot of credit, man. I mean, stepping into his first game of the series, hasn't played a lot of hockey in 2026 because obviously he had the injury and the surgery. And that dude just came right in and he showed no fear. And that moment, the Lightning took a penalty right after, and so when you say like, oh, that changed the series, like there was a penalty in there, but then they killed the penalty and everything after that obviously sort of turned around for them. But there's no doubt about it. That was a huge moment in that hockey game. And, Montreal fans want to think that should have been a penalty. Well, I can tell you right now, listen, the officiating last night for both sides sucked. Let's just be honest. The Lightning got some calls that were
heavily weighted to Montreal.
Oh, I thought you could argue the Lightning got some calls that were a little soft, but I thought the Lightning had about 3 calls where I went, really? Yeah. Like this is the playoffs. Soft.
The Gensel call on Dobesh was a joke. That was a joke. I mean, and not only that, we couldn't see it, but I'm pretty sure that puck wasn't completely secured. Where he caught it.
I feel like you see that after almost after every time that happened. You see that in every situation.
Yeah, and then the fact that the 2 Montreal players bum rush Gensel on the boards right after that's not a penalty. That's not a penalty. Like way after the whistle. I
don't know. They think Cooch took it.
Retaliating for some soft little tick on it. Get out of here with that. And then the Evans. Cross-check into the boards of Kucherov was that they originally called a major. I don't know how you take that away. That is
they think Kucherov was diving there, of course.
Yeah. And the fact, of course, he came back in the game.
I would just tell you from I've never played ice hockey necessarily, but I feel like if you ask any of those players, do you think any of them are willingly trying to self-catapult themselves into the boards like that?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
That's the most like dangerous spot to be in as a player. Like and they're like, oh, well, he came back out there on the power play and he was whining on the ice the entire time. And it's like, oh, please. Like,
he's tough. He's tough son of a bitch.
Please get real. And it made me feel great that Kucherov got the last laugh because that crowd was giving it to him every time he had the puck. And I was just like, man, if Kucherov scores a goal here, it's going to be freaking electric.
And it was his goal, basically. But he put off a Hagel. Yeah. Buck in 220 says the level of delusion from the Habs fan base is unmatched in sports. Refs in their pocket the whole series, and they're still complaining about the refs. Spot on. And David Terry says, I'll tell you when you, JP, after we scored that 3rd goal, you could hear a mouse pissing on a cotton ball there. Yeah, that was the life going out of that place pretty quickly. But I also said, I was like, ooh, man, there's a lot of time left. And then they get the power play.
Yeah.
6-on-4. I mean, I'm sitting there telling Ash, is like, we're going to overtime. This is going to, which by the way, would have been the 3rd series in the history of the playoffs, just the 3rd series where the first 4 games went to overtime. And that's about as close as you can get to another overtime game because Vasi had to stand on his head again in that 6-on-4. And he's just been so freaking good. And in a 7-game series, which I think we all know that this one's going 7.
Yeah.
It's a must. It's a must. Now there's a lot of hockey left. Obviously Wednesday night, it's going to be huge. You know, if you lose that, I mean, every game's a must win. It kind of feels like that. Every game is a must win. But I think we're going 7. I think the Lightning win game 5. I think Montreal probably wins game 6, and then it comes down to game 7. What a series, though. I mean, you want to talk about just pure drama. I mean, you can't take your eyes off it. With the atmosphere, every time Montreal touches the puck, I mean, it's just bedlam there. And I would love our Lightning fans to answer that on Wednesday night and just take it up a notch.
Yeah.
I don't think we can get to that level.
No.
Being honest.
I don't think anybody's touching the atmosphere of Montreal, but we should be ready to go. A 2-2 series, coming back to game 5 after really, I thought you stole that game yesterday. I mean, that place should be.
I didn't think we stole it.
Well, I mean, when you're down 2-0 and you come back like that in the third period, I mean, I think you stole it just a little bit. I think
stealing games is more like when, the high danger chances are 2-1 to the other team and your goalie just stands on his head. That to me was more of a game where that was a dogged comeback. Like it was like, we're not going to freaking lose. We're not. And that's the determination. That to me, that's playoff hockey. That's just, you're just taking up your intensity level to a place where you're just going to out hit them. You're going to out physical them. Although there weren't as many hits in this game, but it's more just the effort and the shutting down of time and space to get to those places. I thought the Lightning played much better in those ways. Not perfect. There were still opportunities and way too many for my liking. But they generated some, and Vasi was good enough. There was just so many points. First of all, the Gensel goal from Moser right before at the end of the second period there, that was freaking huge. And I love that Gensel just, he held the puck. He didn't do the old Braden Point, beat your man, stop, wait for help. They're all, and everybody knows that with Braden, and they're all in the passing lane. So when he pulls up to go shoot or to go pass looking for the second wave, they all know that. And there's no passing lanes for him. They know what he's doing. But Gensel goes around, hands it off to Moser, and it's like a give and go play. And the precision was just absolutely insane because Gensel was still well covered. Great pass for Moser, great deflection into the goal by Gensel. Phenomenal. And then Hagel, of course, 6 goals now in 4 games. I mean, this guy has just put this team on his back. He is just, without question, the heartbeat of this team now. We could talk about who's the captain. It doesn't really matter. He's the captain. He's the captain now. He's running this ship. There's no question about that. And that goal, both the goals last night, where he just gets down on the power play and just, for his size to be as hard on the puck as he is, and right in front of the net, just boxing out. Another great pass. So you get the equalizer there, and then the third goal, Kucherov basically once again he boxes out, gets inside position, and Kucherov hits him in the chest, and it goes in. It's probably where he was aiming the puck. I wouldn't doubt it at all. And then they just hang on for dear life through the. They had a 5-on-3. A minute 11. 5-on-3, they did a great job killing. The penalty kill was fantastic last night. What were they? 1 for 7 Montreal on the PK. And they were
here's another thing too that was important to last night's game. I saw this yesterday. So the Lightning in the regular season, they had the second most inner slot goals of any team in the regular season. And inner slot is basically just that middle ice, and it's like the few feet right in front of the goalie, right?
Yeah. They
had the second most goals scored in the regular season. They had 11 shots in all 3 of their goals come from that area yesterday. They had more shots from that area yesterday than they had in the first 3 games combined. I think that's obviously a big difference too. Montreal had been doing a really good job. They were winning the battle in front of the net, quite frankly, for those first 3 games. And the Lightning were able to finally break through last night And so that was huge. And the other thing that I've picked up on as this series has gone on, and I go back to like last week when we were talking about game one, and we said at some point your best players have to be your best players. Montreal's best players are not their best players right now.
Non-existent.
Are. If you go look at it, Slavkovsky had 3 goals, all in the power play in game one. He's been blanked on the score sheet since. It is a -4. Suzuki, 0 goals, 4 assists, -4. Caulfield, 1 goal, 3 assists, -5. If you compare that to the Lightning's best player, Hagel's got 6 goals and assists, and he's at a +6. Gensel, 1 goal, 6 assists, +3. Kucherov, 1 goal, 5 assists, +3. Montreal's top line on 5v5 and all of that production I just told you that Montreal has from their top guys, it's all coming from the power play. 5-on-5, the Lightning have won the battle against Suzuki, Slavkovsky, and Caulfield. And that's what I said earlier, how the Lightning have been mixing up their lines a lot, and Montreal hasn't really done anything. I wonder in game 5 if Marty starts to, sort of tinker with that a little bit, and you start to get a new look from Montreal and see if they can get their guys going, because that's what Koopa's basically had to done. And you saw it yesterday. He I think he had Gensel, Kucherov, Hagel, Kucherov, and Point work together. And that's not a combination you've seen as much this season.
Yeah. And the power play and the penalty kill, I think, were interesting. So yesterday, Montreal was 1 for 6, including a 5-on-3 for a minute 11, I think it was. Mm-hmm. The Bolts were 1 for 7 on the power play. At times, I thought their power play was good, and then at times it's just they were struggling to get it in the zone. So that's still a work in progress. Face-offs continue to just kill the Lightning, 35% to 65%. Yeah. That's if they could get that to 50-50, I think it could really, really flip the series. But they're just losing way too many face-offs right now, and critical ones at that. Montreal had 50 hits to 28. That's been a little better, more even. But I'll be honest with you. I think when the Lightning are a little less hit happy, they get to their game faster.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I think that's something that is in a. I think Cooper, that game especially, which I think this game was probably their best 5-on-5 game. You would agree?
Yeah. I would say.
Yeah. So they had 28 hits, and they've been in the 40s, high 40s. And it's been that's not, and that's. I don't mind them being physical. Don't get me wrong. I don't want them to not hit, but just when you're finishing checks, it also kind of takes you out of the flow of the game. That's another 2 strides that you have to, turn around and get back in the game. So I think maybe they're looking at that saying, okay, there's opportunities here to get back to our game and not do as much hitting. Like, take the hits when you can, like the Crozier hit. You got to take that. There's opportunities, but don't over. I think maybe we, in the first 2 to 3 games, we were kind of getting into that more than we needed to. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's really fair. And that was even if you go back to like the end of the regular season, I was saying this on the show. It's like sometimes I feel like the Lightning were mucking up every game and turning it into like, where there was brawls all over the place and everything. And it was as if they were trying to send a message to the other teams around the league, like, hey, we're not going to be pushed around anymore. We got pushed around by Florida the last 2 years. We're a different team. Right. We're the opposer. We're gonna take it to the opposition, all that stuff. And I get that. I understand that completely. But when you feel like, when I see the Lightning, sort of turn that switch off a little bit and they get back to their game, and, when they're really strong on the forecheck and when those top lines are humming and they're actually shooting the puck, which is something that I know that this coaching staff is trying to get through to these guys. Like, hey, stop being a little too cute. Just shoot the puck and good things happen. And hell, Kucherov just winds up from a bad angle and the puck goes in. Sometimes you got to make your own luck, right? The first goal for Montreal, it pissed me off because I was like, because was it Radish who was on
McDonough, I think it was.
Or whoever it was, made a really good play there to shut him down, and you didn't get a shot on goal. But you know what? The puck just sort of just rattles in, whatever. But you know what? That's making your own puck luck. And the Lightning got to figure out a way to do that. And Kucherov just taking a shot from where he did yesterday, it goes in. We just need more of that. It's not about how pretty it looks at this point. You just need to get some greasy goals.
Yeah, I think they're doing more of that for sure. Let's get to a couple Lightning related comments here. David Terry says Hagel definitely needs to wear the C. That's no question about that.
Oh, he's the leader in the clubhouse. Who's the next captain of the Tampa Bay Lightning whenever that time comes?
Can I get that on Kalshi?
Yeah.
Michael LaRue says a lot of people talk about how players can be intimidated playing in the Bell Center, but it feels like the referees are intimidated officiating there. Yeah, that's the thing. To me, it's just kind of human nature. And I know referees should be, they should be innocuous to it, but they're not. It's just when they know if they call a penalty against Montreal, it doesn't matter what it is, they're just holy hell is going to rain down upon them. And every call they make is going to be magnified from the noise. It's just, and when someone hits somebody and the crowd goes crazy, they feel like they should be calling a penalty. It's just human nature. It's just, that you see something, you don't know if it's a penalty or not, but the crowd goes crazy. You go, oh, well, it must've been a penalty. The hand goes up. It's part of it. It's part of it. And that when you go in there.
I feel like they do that thing too, where it feels like if they give one team, like if the power play opportunities are like 3-1 in favor of one team,
right?
It's like they tend to call two like back to back on the other team.
Well,
it's almost like they're keeping that in mind and they're trying to make it as even as possible. And like I don't feel like that's, I don't think that's how this is supposed to work.
Yeah,
necessarily.
Danny Boy says, "Good morning, gentlemen. That was a huge win last night. 2-2 was a lot better than 3-1." Yeah.
Oh, 3-1 was a death sentence. 29-0, I think they showed last night on the broadcast. If Montreal gets up 3-1 in a series all time.
Yep. Buckin 220 says this is not a normal first round series. Feels more like the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, these were two of the better teams in the entire East. It's a stupid playoff format, and Bettman loves it, but it's just dumb. It's dumb. Trying to find a couple more here. Tim Witherspoon says, I think they'll do it in 6. That's kind of been a formula for the Lightning when they get to 2-2. And I think a lot of it has to do with Cooper, quite frankly. I said this at the beginning of the series. I think it's kind of why he doesn't mind starting on the road, because that first game is kind of a feel-out game. First 2 games where he can get a feel for what matchups he likes, and I think he does a great job of exploiting those matchups as the series goes on. So I think if there's a coaching advantage, and I think there is, history tells us that they'll find a way. Doesn't mean you're going to win it, even if you get the better matchups, but history tells us Coop's been pretty good at that.
Yeah, and I'll give him credit too. Obviously putting Crozier in for Declan Carlisle, I think after Game 3 went, that had to happen. I think we all would agree.
And getting Sabourin off the ice.
Yeah, and I called for Sabourin to get into the lineup because I thought that there was a physical element he got in there, but I think it was clear like he was probably doing more harm than good. And Game 3, he was completely like he'd barely even played, and then Cooper, for whatever reason, puts him out there for overtime instead of the other guys who probably would have been better suited. I'm not going to sit here and act like John Cooper's been perfect in this series. He's been far from it. He's been tinkering with a lot of things. But even, putting Bjorkstrand in there yesterday, Bjorkstrand only played 8 minutes, but I thought Oliver Bjorkstrand looked fresh. Like he seemed like he was moving quicker. He was actually getting in on the forecheck a little bit. Like for an 8 minutes, it was a very effective 8 minutes. And now it's like, okay, like I think he hit the right buttons yesterday, finally.
Yeah, getting your ass benched will do that.
Does something to you.
Jeff Stutler says Hagel had 2 goals right on the doorstep and the Habs cannot cover him. Keep that up. Yeah, he's driving this series. He is driving this series. There is no question about that. Thomas Casper says lucky to win with that dumb slash penalty in their goalie. I mean, it looks like a dumb penalty, but it's also something that you do 1,000 times a year and never gets called.
Right.
In that situation, should you be doing it? Probably not. And that's 2 bad penalties by Gensel late in the period. So he needs to be smarter than that, but that's still kind of a really ticky-tack call.
Even the one before earlier in that period, the Yanni Gourde cross-check behind the net. I mean, come on. That was you want to talk about soft. To me, that was the softest penalty I saw yesterday in that game, was the one that Yanni got called on for a cross-check behind
the net. My God, that was ridiculous.
I mean, as love tap as it gets right there.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. All right, I'm just trying to do basically John Hill says Ryan McDonough has 200 playoff games on his belt. That's third most among active skaters, I believe. Second or third most. Most playoff goals aren't pretty, says Joel Forsland. Just flick it at the net. Yeah, every chance you get. Every chance you get. David Terry says, got to give a shout out to Kopitar. Hell of a career, even when refs were clapping at his last game last night. Yeah, as he played his last one. Chris Cole says the Cooch penalty in the final minutes was weak too. Yeah, I thought that was weak. I mean, these are not typically playoff quality calls, right? To me, in the playoffs, I don't like the fact that it sometimes becomes a different sport. They don't call anything. That's not cool. But this series seems like it feels like a lot of fights in the regular season. You know, it got ridiculous in the first two probably games. Of the after the whistle stuff was just nuts. And I think the refs just said, listen, we're going to call everything. You guys keep this shit up, we're going to call everything. I think they've gone overboard, completely overboard. And so it's Lightning had 7 power plays last night. Montreal had 6. That's too much special teams. It's way too much special teams. It's really, and I think that goes in the favor. I mean, I think it's kind of gone in the favor of Montreal, more so because it keeps the Kucherov off the ice. And he's playing a lot less minutes than he normally would because he doesn't penalty kill. And we've been on a penalty kill a lot. So
I mean, to me, it says even more though about like Hagel, for example, because Hagel's playing like 25, 26 minutes a night.
I know.
Right now, because he's obviously your top penalty killer. He's your top matchup guy. Oh, by the way, he's giving you 6 goals as well. Like I don't think we could say enough about him. He's been the best player on the ice for either team
without question.
4 games. And really, he might even be the best player. I mean, I have to look, but I haven't watched every series closely, but he's got to be probably one of the top players in the entire playoffs so far too.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back on the other side and get to Bucs and the Rays. So we want your comments as well on both of those subjects. What did you think of the Bucs draft? We talked a lot about Bain on Friday with Coach Strong, which got huge numbers, by the way. So we'll revisit some of the things that Coach mentioned about him. He recruited him, coached him up at Miami. So we'll talk about that and the rest of the Bucs draft. The Rays had a great week. We're brought to you by the great folks at Pitch Roofing. Hey, they got an opportunity for you. You don't need a new roof. That's fine. You can call them, get the free estimate. They'll come out. They'll take a look at your roof. They'll say, you got 3-4 years left on this roof. There's a little issue over here. Maybe we could work on that for you. But more than anything, they'll educate you as to how the whole deal works so you don't get ripped off by other roofers. And you'll meet the people that will work with you. And I think you'll find what I found when I met with them at their offices. These are great folks. They're down to earth. They're honest. They get tons of great reviews. They want to run a great business. They're never the cheapest because the rip-off artists are always the cheapest. That's a sign. But they're the best. They're the best in the business. Pitchroofing.com. Check out the website. Back in 3.
Pitch Roofing believes giving back is part of doing business the right way. That's why they proudly offer exclusive discounts to those who gave the most to our communities, including veterans, first responders, seniors, and teachers. And for listeners of the JP Peterson Show, there's even more good news. Pitch Roofing is now offering a special discount just for fans of the show. With so many roofing companies coming and going in Florida, it's important to choose a contractor you can count on long after the job is done, especially when it comes to honoring your warranty. Pitch Roofing is built for the long haul with a reputation for quality, transparency, and standing behind their work. Whether it's a repair or a full replacement, their team delivers honest guidance, quality workmanship, and no high-pressure sales. Call 727-67-PITCH, 727-677-4824, or visit pitchroofing.com to schedule a free estimate.
Pitch roofing done right.
As the Rays enjoy being back in their Tropicana Field home this season that was ravaged by Hurricane Milton, Italiano Insurance wants to remind us all how important it is to be properly insured. 40% of you are underinsured. That can mean financial disaster. Let the experienced and friendly agents at Italiano shop your policies for the best price and the right coverage. Italiano saved me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year, over $500 on our homeowners insurance. They can do the same for you. That's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Cost less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with our all-star agents at Italiano Insurance, or call our Boca Grande office at 941-964-0400. Hey guys, you already know that Riveters is the best sports bar in all of Tampa Bay, but now it gets even better for Rays baseball season. During all Rays games, check this out, $6 Tito's, $6 Jack, $6 margaritas, all during Rays games. Are you kidding me? And that's always a great pour from the great bartenders at Riveters. Great service, great food, everything is fresh, nothing is frozen. And let me tell you, if you want baseball and wings, you will not find any better than Riveters. Their sauces, like the blue cheese and the ranch and everything, is handmade, and the wings are big and they're perfect. Wings, baseball, Rays, Riveters. It all comes together during baseball season. Once again, in addition to all the great food and service, you get $6 Tito's, $6 Jacks, $6 margaritas. It's time to celebrate. Baseball season is back, and celebrate at Riveters. You know where it is, right there on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of the stadium. See you there at Riveters. It's Diamond Days at the Golden Diamond Source. Celebrate April's birthstone, which is diamonds, as they take center stage. Up to 20% off the diamond jewelry throughout the month of April. And don't forget, you could trade in your broken or old jewelry towards something new and beautiful. Gold prices are at a record high. Now is the best time. And by the way, they only sell natural diamonds at the Golden Diamond Source. It's real love. It should be real natural diamonds. Don't start your relationship with a fake diamond. Really, really bad idea. And for the Golden Diamond Source first-time buyers, they are going to teach you all about the 4 C's and all the different shapes and styles. They are able to show you a huge selection of inventory to choose from. And by the way, you can trust them. They've been in business for over 40 years. Don't buy something online. You have no idea what you're getting. 0% financing for up to 5 years. Make sure it's a Golden Diamond Source diamond. 3800 Ulmerton Road. Always online at goldendiamond.com. Hey, JP here for Genesis of Tampa and the Murphy Auto Group. I think the best way to experience a business is to use that business. And I just did at Genesis of Tampa. Just bought a GV70, a 2023, and it feels and drives all new. It's an absolutely fantastic car. The technology, the comfort, and the price, absolutely outstanding. Frankly, I never thought I could get into a car like this, but they made me a deal I could not refuse. And I also get the VIP service where you can just drive right up, their pit stop service. They'll top off all the fluids, make sure your air in your tires is good, new wipers if you want them. If you need extended service, they will come to you, bring you a courtesy car, and then bring your car back. What more do you want? The experience was just VIP all the way. And you can get that at Genesis of Tampa. And don't forget, you can get extended warranty, which I did. So I have worry-free miles up to 100,000, and all they do is just take it in. Actually, I don't have to take it in. They come to me. It's perfect. It's Genesis of Tampa right there, 801 East Bears Avenue, right off of 275. Go see them and tell them JP sent you.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we roll on this big Monday. Bucs, Rays, Lightning. Anything else you guys want to talk about, bring it in the comments. We will throw it up here on the screen if you pass muster. If it's a good comment, we'll put it up there for you. And super chats are always loved. if you want to do that on YouTube and support the program, thank you very much. We will take that. You can do that on YouTube. Just go to the JP Peterson Show, Fan Stream Sports, Tampa Bay. And big thanks to the folks at MOR TV. They are now one of your better local sports stations because they're doing Magic games. This year we did 10 of those, and now we're doing 10 Rays games with hopefully more to come in the future. But the next game is going to be Friday, May 8th. They did last Friday's game against the Twins. The next one will be Friday, May 8th. So check your local listings. We'll keep you up to date on when they'll have another Rays game on MOR TV, along with some other great local sports coverage. So thanks to the great folks at MOR TV. All right, you want to go Bucs or Rays? Where do you want to go here, Nick? Take your pick.
Let's do Bucs. Let's do some Bucs stuff because I think we would agree that this was maybe the most important. There's been a lot of important drafts, so I don't know if I want to take it this far, but it's certainly one of the more important drafts for Jason Licht and this front office that they needed to nail. And we have to see what the finished product ends up being for a lot of these players for sure. But I don't think you could be any more excited, on the Monday, 2 days after the draft is over than you are right now when you look at the current group that they got.
I would say, we do these letter grades. It's silly. You never know till 3 years down the road. But as I look at this group, I'd say it's an A+ in terms of needs, filling your needs. Where there's some better players on the board, perhaps in some cases. But I think in general, now it comes to making these players productive. We talk about development of players. That typically should happen at the collegiate level, but there needs to be another step. To me, in the pros, it's more of putting players in positions to make impacts. That, to me, is what professional coaching is about. Getting them in the right situation. First of all, you got to draft the right players for your schemes. That's first and foremost. And then, put them in positions to win on every Sunday. And that's something I don't think the Bucs do very well defensively. Quite frankly, I think they get out matchup a lot of times, and that's coaching. So that being what it is, let's look at these players. We talked a lot about Ruben Bain on Friday. And by the way, if you did not catch the podcast with Coach Charlie Strong, who coached him at Miami, recruited him, knows the family. I still heard over the weekend some, it's a questionable guy. He's got character questions, folks. I'm going to here to tell you that is not a thing with this kid. That is based on the people I've talked to and who know him well. It's not. In fact, it's just the opposite. Like, he's a very high character guy. There's the first thing I noticed, and now it's kind of made the run rounds, is the fact that he just walked right by the mirror, picked up the hat, and went on. That was his whole walkout was, I think, the best. First of all, great nuclear family, around him, which you love to see. And then just the walkout was just all business, where he's like, grabs the hat, moves on. I just love all that. Big hug for Roger Goodell, and just said, then did a quick interview, and it was all business. It is all business with this kid. He is not flashy. He's not, he's a talker. He's a shit talker on the field, and that's what you want. He's just a totally different personality on the field. In terms of fit, obviously it's the biggest need you had. I think, people want to say Arvell Reese and what have you. To me, he's the most polished edge rusher in the draft. You got the most polished, ready to go, rush the passer from the edge, and he plays the hell out of the run. Looking at some of his tape, I was like, wow, he really, not only does he hold the point of attack, but you see him throwing around 340-pound guards that outweigh him by 70 pounds. He's just extremely strong. He plays with an edge. He plays with an attitude. He's a really good kid, high character, team captain, freaking home run pick set up your whole draft.
Yeah, it doesn't get any more home run than this, especially when you got him at 15 and you didn't have to move around. You didn't have to give up any capital. He just sort of fell to you. And to me, it just came down to the fact that NFL teams, I'll just be honest, I think they overthought this one a little bit. I think they really overthought this a little bit because to your point, Arvell Reese is like, he could play, inside linebacker. He could be edge rusher. There's a lot of versatility in there. He's a great player, obviously, and he was my number one player on the board for a reason. But if you're talking about just straight up pass rushing ability, like you said, this was the guy. And everybody wanted to make a big deal about the arm length, and I get it. He is an outlier as it gets with that arm length in terms of translating to NFL success. But if you look at his college tape, like the arm length didn't seem to impact him one bit there. Like I didn't see it. When you look at big game player, JP, I mean, go look at what this guy did in the college football playoff last year.
Right.
He was a beast against Texas A&M. He had 4 tackles for loss. He was a beast against Ohio State. He's there in Ole Miss. Against Indiana, they couldn't block him. I mean, he was everywhere in every big game and every big moment for Miami. This is I know the letter grades and whatnot. He's got to go show out and prove everybody right. But it's an A+ right now. It's an A+ on value. It's an A+ on the player itself. He's an A++ in the mentality that he comes in here with, and especially the word of the weekend for the Bucs draft, and it starts with Ruben Bain, is attitude. Attitude. We said on this show last year, and other people said it on shows. Hell, I think Todd Bowles, without saying it exactly, basically admitted to it and said it in different ways. They were a soft defense last year, and that's the worst thing you could say about someone in the NFL, right? And I think they recognize that. And if you go back to free agency, even some of the guys, while they weren't the biggest names and maybe we wanted them to do more, the guys they did bring in have a different intensity to them than the guys you saw on the field last year. And this dude immediately comes right in. And it's like he doesn't give a crap about what number he wears. He doesn't care about any of that. He doesn't care about taking his nice photo and getting his, adjusting himself before he gets on stage. Like I watched that video this morning again and I get chills.
It's fantastic.
Watching it. I mean, it's, not to put too much pressure on him or anything, but everybody has said it kind of the similarities to this and how the Bucs got Warren Sapp in 1995. Like it's sort of hard to get away from that. And that was a transformative pick for the Buccaneers. I hope this is along the lines of that. And it kind of changes the way I feel about the team in general, JP, because we said going in, you either got to land a proven top of the market pass rusher, or you got to find a way to get that guy in the draft. And after they didn't do it in free agency, we were like, well, there's no way they're going to do it at 15. You're kind of just in no man's land. But here, Ruben Bain just falls to you. And I think he immediately becomes the best pass rusher on this football team. I think he's going to hit the ground running. And I expect this guy to have a hell of a career.
Yeah. I can't say enough good stuff about this cat. I just want him to get in here and show what he could do. And for God's sakes, don't wreck him. Do not put him into pass coverage. They've got to stop doing that. They've got to stop doing that. All right. So second pick, Josiah Trotter, inside linebacker, Missouri. He's only played a couple of years, big-time football. He has got all the attributes that you own. He's a thumper. He's a downhill inside thumper. He's not great in coverage, which when you're 6'4" and you're trying to cover backs that are 5'9", 5'10", who are really low to the ground in open space, it's a tough ask. It's just a really tough ask. I don't care how athletic you are. It's very, very difficult. Now, the Bucs will tell you he's good at coverage. He can be good at coverage. He just wasn't used in that way. We'll see. C.J. Allen was on the board. They didn't take him. Jacob Rodriguez got taken 3 picks before they did.
Oh, man.
I'll just say this. If, a few years from now, we're sitting there going, man, we should have traded up to get him. Because we talked about it on Friday. And I said, if he gets close, if I'm Jason Light, and I don't know what the cost was. I'm sure they inquired to move up to get him. I don't know what the cost was. But to me, you had to do it. When he got that close, it couldn't have been more than what? It couldn't have been more than a 4th, probably a 5th, right?
Yeah, it's a nuanced discussion because if you probably were going to give up another selection in the middle of your draft, and you didn't have a lot of draft picks already. And I know we'll get to him in a second, but let's just say you had to give up a fourth.
Yeah.
To go up and move. Well, the guy we're going to get to here in a second who got taken in the fourth round, pretty damn good player who I'm glad that the Bucs have. So there's nuance to it, right? Rodriguez would have been perfect. And if he would have fell to you at 46 and we were talking about him today instead of Josiah Trotter, I mean, I'd be falling out of my chair, about this.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Trotter for sure. He's a young player, obviously. There's only 2 years to go off of, one at West Virginia, one at Missouri. I think it's a good sign that he made a big jump in competition from West Virginia to Missouri, and he got better. He is a thumper, downhill type of player. He's got legitimate 1v1 wins against offensive linemen in the SEC. If you go back to the Alabama game, he was wrecking shop in that game. So
he's a good blitzer. He's a really good blitzer. I'm going to throw this name out there that I know is going to scare everybody, but he kind of has some similarities to a Devin White in his game. He kind of reminds me of that just a little bit, but try to think of like the best traits of Devin when I say that. Okay. Try to like say it like that. I'm not talking about the Devin White who is all about himself and, he's not that kind of kid.
Yeah, he's not that kid and anything like that. And he's got NFL lineage, obviously, with his father, who showed him the path and everything. So just try to look at the best traits of Devin White when I say that is my point. So he's going to add an element in there. But yes, from a coverage standpoint, he's got a lot to learn. He has got a lot to learn. But I think Anzalone, then bringing him in and the fact that he can be a decent, coverage linebacker, I think is what's going to help him early on.
Now, the size, he's 6'4", right? Trotter.
He is 6'4".
Yeah, he's got a big wingspan. And people think about, coverage means out in the flat, like I was just talking
6'2",
about.
I'm sorry. 6'2".
Is he 6'2"?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hurst is 6'4". My notes are mixed up. So he's a little bit longer than obviously a Levante David, who's probably 5'11", maybe just touching 6 feet. So that gives it's a little bit higher. You got to throw a little ball a little bit higher over the middle, and that middle has been wide open for so long for the Buccaneers. That type of coverage, he's got to be better at. And to me, it's like Jacob Rodriguez had all the instincts of a great middle linebacker. Just he's done it a long time. I think that's important. I want kids that have been playing that position since they were in Pee Wee football. It's just you learn the angles. You learn that you learn. It's a lot like the talent of running back. They're kind of mirror images of themselves, right? The linebackers are looking for holes to fill where the running back's going to come out of, right? Running backs are looking for holes to escape. They're almost mirror images. And the great running backs have been doing it since they were 7 years old. They know it. And Trotter, I don't know if he played a lot of Pee Wee football in that. It's just the fact that it's been a couple of years. I don't know. I'm waiting to see where those instincts are. Clearly, he's got a lot of great athletic ability, and I'm almost feeling like the Bucs think, okay, we'll take this raw ability and we'll turn it into something. Well, when's the last time they've done that? When's the last time they developed any player on the defensive side? Like I'm hard pressed to see any player that's gotten better when they got here.
I think any player on the defensive side, I think that's unfair.
I won't say any. But who? It seems like, has Chris Braswell gotten any better? Did JTS get any better? Did Logan Hall get any better?
You could point to some of the guys on the defensive line. Did they get any better? I think it's undeniable to say that they've hit on a lot of guys in the secondary for sure. I think have
gotten better.
How have they not gotten better?
Jamel Dean, did he ever get better?
Jamel was terrible when he got here.
Get better? What's that?
Jamel was terrible. His first 10 games as a rookie.
Oh, I'm not talking about rookie jitters. I'm talking about develop into.
I mean, Jamel played really well last year.
He
played really well.
I
mean, Winfield has had a couple years where Winfield's had a couple years where he's gone backwards. Tyke has been solid. Parrish had a good rookie season. Zion for a 5th-round pick. I know he played bad last year, but for a 5th-round pick who was going to need some development, has shown to be useful in some situations. He's got to bounce back for sure. I don't think I think it's a little unfair to. I think it's a little unfair to say everybody on the defense.
I'm not all right. That's show me a player that has gotten markedly better since he got here.
Markedly better. That one I won't. I don't think the coaching has been great.
So my point is, if
and the two guys who are hovering around a lot of these positions, the Larry Foots of the world, are still employed. So
to my point. So my point is, if you're like, okay, hey, this guy hasn't played a lot of football, we're going to mold him into a great player. I'm like, okay, where's the evidence that we're going to do that? And then the other thing, and I'm not going to, I hate to say it, but it just kind of sticks in my craw. Benjamin Morrison, 2nd-round pick, right? Oft injured again, played with Todd Bowles, his dad, right? His dad played with Todd Bowles, right? Jeremiah Trotter played with linebacker coach Mike Edwards. Everybody knows him. Josiah's dad. Jeremiah played. It's like, we're hiring our son as a coach. A lot of friends and family stuff going on. I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but it just
they were always going to take. Here's the other thing: they were always going to take probably a linebacker with this pick.
Yeah,
we all knew that. Rodriguez, I have to think, was probably going to be their guy if he was there at 46.
Right.
And I think Jason even said it. They had a few guys who were all graded out the same area. If I had to guess, that was Rodriguez, Trotter, and CJ Allen. Now, me personally, I would have gone CJ Allen with that pick. I think if you want to critique, I think CJ Allen is a better football player. He's certainly a better football player, I think, right now coming into the league than Josiah Trotter is. So, I can get upset about that. But, other than that, there isn't, another linebacker outside of a CJ Allen where I would have gone, okay, you should have taken that guy with this pick over Josiah Trotter. I don't think there was the we didn't even see a single linebacker taken in the 3rd round, for example. So it kind of fell off quickly after those top guys. So I don't think it's a big gap between these guys, but sure, I think CJ Allen would have been the better pick.
Yeah, because he's more polished. And I think coming from a better defensive program,
Yeah, and especially the Bulls, they seem to like those Georgia guys too. They have connections.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a little surprised. That maybe they didn't feel like Allen was better than Trotter.
Well, and that's my point is did their affinity for this young man take precedence over who the better player is? I don't know. We'll see. But I just, first of all, I think Jacob Rodriguez would have been a home run. And if he's 3 spots away, I would have loved to see them grow up and get him. And maybe they tried. Maybe they feel like it was too. That's the stuff we'll never know, unless Jason wants to tell us. So I don't know. That to me, that's the one pick. I'm like, I think there were better options. But
second
we'll
round,
see how he plays.
Second round's been a Jason weak spot in a lot of drafts too.
Yeah, and I would say, is he better than Servassier Dennis? Probably.
Come on.
Come on. It's certainly in the run game. Certainly in the run game, no question about it. And in the blitz game. Yeah.
And that's the thing though, before we move on here, I think the Bucs have upgraded just about every room across the board so far, but the linebacker room, while it is an upgrade, it's again, there's levels to this. And if you're trying to compete with the big dogs of the NFL, get beyond the NFC South discussion. Are we really confident that linebacker room is super good enough at this point? Because the way I look at it, it's you have Anzalone, who's a veteran. You probably know what you're going to get out of that player. Trotter's going to have to play right away, but there's going to be growing pains. Let's not mistake this. And then you're an injury away or some underperformance from Servassier Dennis being right back out there.
I know.
And then if something crazy happens, then we got to watch Christian Roseboom out there. My goodness, shut it down. So the linebacker room to me is still very much from a depth standpoint, probably not where it needs to be. I understand you can't fill everything that you want to do in one off season, and the Bucs did a lot. But that room in particular, I think I would have liked to seen a little bit more investment.
Bucks Basement says exactly. So the Trotter pick is going to be wasted in a year when Bowles is fired at the end of this season and the scheme Trotter was drafted for is gone. What the hell happens then? Fair point. He also mentions the coaches for middle linebacker and edge suck and have sucked for the last couple of years. Bowles protects his cronies. Foote and Edwards literally have gotten called out by multiple Bucs Hall of Fame players, and yet they're still here. Yeah, you fired some folks on the defensive side, but
didn't fire the right ones.
He also says, JP, it's going to still be wide open again. If Anzalone goes down, we don't have a single inside linebacker that can cover the middle of the field.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Alejandro says, the only regret I have from the draft is that I wish the Bucs traded up in the first round after getting Rubin at 15 to get Akeem Mesidor. Basically, I wanted both of them since we grabbed Keontae Scott. Well, we can't have the whole Miami defense, although we
just wasn't realistic. It's just not realistic.
Like that. Listen, I would have loved to see them trade up in the second round and use that draft capital to get Rodriguez, but they didn't do that. So we'll see. Andre all day says, don't underestimate Ted Hurst, which moves us to the third round pick. 6'4", 206-pound Ted Hurst from Georgia State. Mm-hmm. Georgia State. Had almost 2,000 yards and 15 touchdowns in the last couple of years. His mom wanted him to stay at Georgia State, which is why he did not upgrade to other programs, which I'm told that there were plenty of that wanted him. Some SEC programs wanted him. I'm watching his tape, and I do see like another gear for him, but I'm also, who's he playing against? That's the other part.
That's the part. He played. Now let's put this out there. Georgia State was a horrible football team. Horrible. They were 1-11 this year. Okay. They gave up 70 points in like 2 games that they played this year. Like they were that bad. If you look at the 3 games he played this past season, the best teams he played, they were Ole Miss, Memphis, and Vanderbilt. The first game he played against Ole Miss. Now he only had 1 catch for 6 yards. He had a drop in there, but they lost 63-7 is what it is. Memphis, he had 7 catches for 97 yards. And then against Vanderbilt, which was one of the top 15 teams in the nation, he had 7 catches for 71 yards. So he was really good in those 2 games against upper competition. And then obviously he did what you should do. He dominated the competition that he played. And that's all you can do. But I love if you talk about tools and everything and all that stuff and what he can become, I don't think it's going to be one of those things where you see Ted Hurst making a huge impact in year 1. It's probably going to be down the line.
Agreed.
He's got all the tools to become a player in this league. I mean, the size at which he has, and then he moves. This guy, when he gets the ball in his hands, he hits another gear.
Yeah.
He hits another gear, and it reminds you of he kind of reminds me of George Pickens a little bit in the way that he plays. I definitely see a little bit of that in his game. The jump ball, contested catch ability. Listen, they lost Mike Evans this offseason, and that's an element of your offense that is tremendously lost. And I'm not saying Ted Hurst is going to come in, like I said, day 1 and replace that, but you see the archetype for what they were going for there. 0-star recruit coming out of college, or coming out of high school, so he had to bust his ass, to get what he could, and outstanding career at Georgia State, became a 3rd-round pick in the NFL. Like a lot of guys that they took, massive chip on the shoulder there. I got no problem with the pick. I got no problem with the pick whatsoever.
Bucs Basement calls him Timu Mike Evans. Jeremy Lowe said he had a good Senior Bowl against top corners. Yeah, that's a good sign. And one-on-ones that he'll face a lot. King Cook says, but outside of Bain Jr., who basically fell to us, that wasn't. I'm sorry, Jason. You don't get any credit for picking Reuben Bain Jr. He fell in your lap. You didn't move up to get him. He fell in your lap. You pulled the trigger, thank God.
I mean, a lot of guys, it happens in every draft, guys slide, they fall in your lap.
But he says, outside of those, our picks are light and bowl specials, all based on potential and not the sure thing like Bain Jr. Yeah, I think there's some validity to that. I mean, Trotter is, he's because of his lack of experience, it's a little bit of an unknown, right? Not super proven like a Rodriguez, right? Or a CJ Allen. Hurst, Georgia State, you would rather see him against better competition, but I get it. It's on the offensive side, so I'm hopeful that we could develop him a little bit better.
We have a good track record. I was going to say real quick, the Bucs have a really good track record. If there's one position they have a damn good track record of developing, it's receivers.
Yeah, and they got a great receiver coach, and I like what Zach Robinson can do. All right, 4th round, Keontae Scott, defensive back, Miami. Love this pick as well. It comes from a great program, and I'm going to say that now. I think this Miami program is kind of turned the corner in terms of the players that they're recruiting and developing are really good players. He had a couple of pick sixes this year. Watching him in the playoffs, he was omnipresent, right? He was always out there making plays. He was in the middle of everything. And that just shows great ball instincts, shows an aggressive mentality. I think he's a prototypical nickel corner, stout, that has playmaking ability, get him close to the ball. I think he adds depth, competition. As I mentioned, a couple of pick sixes, big plays in big games. I like this pick. I like this pick a lot.
This is the second best pick they had in this draft. I don't think it's even close. They got Keontae Scott with number 116th overall. They could have taken him at 46, and I would have told you it was a great pick. Similar to Ruben Bain, he just fell. He just fell right into your lap, and I don't know what the NFL's looking at here with this guy. I'm not sure what I'm missing. He ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. So this guy's got speed, and he did that at 5'11", 193. He's not like super skinny or anything like that.
No, he's built.
He's built. To your point,
looks like a linebacker.
Yeah, we watched him play, in that playoff and all year for Miami. He jumped off the page he jumped off the screen rather on a defense where it had a lot of guys who were jumping off the screen, and he was right there in the thick of it. He's 24 years old, so he comes right in. He's ready to play. He's gonna be on that field on day one in whatever role they want to put him in. JP, he reminds me he's Rondé Barber-esque with the fact that he could play. He's a very good nickel, and also
he's a lot bigger.
20 pressures last year. 20 quarterback pressures coming from the slot for Keontae Scott. And all of his sacks came on the same side where he was next to Ruben Bain. So I think it's great process to keep those two guys together. A lot of familiarity with one another. I just think it's a home run pick. It's a home run pick. And like I said, just like Bain, he sort of fell right into your lap. And to get him at 116, the value is excellent because I could have taken him at 46 and been great with it.
And again, he brings that edge, that nastiness, that physicality to your defense that you've been missing.
Yes,
I'm all in on that.
And it brings more competition to the room because I think Keontae Scott's probably going to play nickel for you, and everybody's going about Jacob Parrish. Jacob Parrish played great last year. They put Parrish out at outside later in the season, if you recall, and I think that's what you're going to see is Parrish and Zion. Whatever you think about Zion, Zion is entrenched as the cornerback one on the team, whether you like it or not. I think that's what's going to be. He's being paid like that for sure. This gives competition to that cornerback 2 spot. It lights a fire under Ben Morrison's ass to be healthy and be out there and try to push Jacob Parrish. And it lights a fire under Jacob Parrish's ass to be out there too and take his game to another level because I think Keontae Scott's going to be your starting nickel come week 1.
So if you got Zion, and I think he has a chance to be a really good player. He's got to get out of his own head. This to me is more on Bowles to unlock this kid and get him to start playing confidently and aggressively. Because when he's in that mode, he's really good. And when he's thinking and you could see him out there and he doesn't know what he's doing, that's when he gets in trouble. So if you can get me Zion, Parrish on the outside, Keontae in the middle, and you got Tyke, those 2 safeties with those guys are physical. They're playmakers. It gives me a whole different edge, right? You got Winfield Jr. and Tyke are really, really good. You get them in the mix. And then Parrish, I think, is physical, sticks his nose in there. Zion's kind of, even though he's the highest paid guy, he might be the one I'm most worried about. but his job is to cover the number one, and he's got the speed and the length to do it. He's got to get after it. And so that group right there as defensive backs, I mean, and then you look at some of these other players that they're in the mix. Well, I'm going to get to the whole thing in just a second. Then it's a way different looking defense, way different,
way nastier.
All right, fifth round they go. DeMonte Capehart, 6'4", 313, really good athlete at defensive
Tremendous
tackle.
athlete.
Yeah, had 4'8", 540, a 34-inch vertical at 315 pounds, 29 tackles, 3 for loss. Again, this is a bigger kid. Certainly, to me, these are the type of players that fit better in this defense, as opposed to the JTSs and the Logan Halls. This is a stout inside guy that's going to, bring a lot more physicality to your defense. No question about it. Comes from a really good program where they develop defensive tackles really well. I like that. And then they get Billy Schroth. Is that how you pronounce his name? Schroth, who's a two-time All-American, 6'5", 310-pound guard from Notre Dame. Another place that knows how to develop offensive linemen, just like the guy we let get away, Robert Hainsey. Love this pick. They needed a guard because the other, re-signing Sweeney I thought was ridiculous. But, they needed another guard. This gives you a little bit of depth. I'm excited to see what this guy can do. And he's got a good attitude. He's polished. He's big. I like the pick.
Yeah. Note on Capehart. I love that pick. I think they got him I think they got good value on him too. Tremendous athlete. In fact, if you look at all the Bucs draft picks, have you seen the RAS scores, right? The relative athletic scores. The Bucs ranked number 1 of any team in the National Football League in this draft in the athletic score that they got across all their draft picks. They got the most athletes top to bottom of any team in the draft this year. There's more to being a football player than just being a great athlete, for sure. But again, the Bucs were slow on defense last year. They lacked a lot of kick-assery. I think they identified, give them credit. They identified what they were really bad at last year and what they were really lacking, and they did attack that in a big way. And you look at that defensive tackle room, whenever Vita Vea came off the field, when Cansey was out, that room was a joke. With all respect to Greg Gaines and those guys, he just was completely gone. But look at this year. Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, A'Shawn Robinson, DeMonte Capehart, Nacho, Elijah Roberts. You're 6 deep at that position now. You're 6 deep. Who's the 6th guy there? Nacho? Is it Capehart?
Yeah. Sign
me up. I'll take it.
Yeah, this is I reposted this from Ashley on Twitter. So we're going from Greg Gaines, Chris Braswell, Anthony Nelson, Logan Hall, Servassier Dennis, Deion Jones, to Reuben Bain Jr., Alkinen Muhammad, A'Shawn Robinson, Josiah Trotter, Alex Anzalone, David Walker, Rakeem Nunez-Roches, Nacho, and DeMonte Capehart. And I'll throw Keontae Scott in there as another physical player.
Hey, Keontae Scott, Izzy leaves, Keontae Scott comes in. I guess you could put it that way.
Yeah. I love it. You have transformed this defense and this front seven. And what did we say was the number one thing we needed to do in this offseason? Transform this front seven. They could have added some more experienced players in free agency. That would have been better. That would have been my choice. But they've affected it. There's no question about it. And now it's really up to this coaching staff to go out there and make this defense a hell of a lot better.
Yes.
And we'll be honest. And after the break, we're going to read all the comments. And there's not a whole lot of confidence from the fan base or myself that that's going to happen. Because you got essentially the same defensive coaches we've had for a long time. And I would suggest, yes, I do. Do I think we upgraded the talent? Yes, we did. But it needs to be better on the field. It needs to be better situationally. It needs to be better in the red zone. It needs to be better a lot of different ways. So, and that all comes down to coaching, play calling, developing players, putting them in the right positions to win. Yeah. And, not seeing
there's no excuses.
Diaby out on the corner with a 5'9", 185-pound running back trying to cover him.
Yeah, there's no excuses for Todd Bowles now. If I see a defensive product that looks similar to what I saw last year, first of all, I already knew who to blame for last year. I won't be convinced otherwise. But in case anybody wasn't on that boat yet, I'm going to know exactly who to blame if it looks like what it looked like last year. There's too many. The pieces to me are too improved not to be significantly better.
Absolutely agree, 100%. All right, we'll take another break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll get to all of your comments, and we'll jump in on the Rays as well. Lots of thoughts on stuff we saw this weekend on the field. Caminero is an absolute beast. So, some of the stuff he does, you just marvel at. So we'll talk about that, a little bit of stadium news, and your comments when we come back. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Gold. That's the birthstone of April. So get on over to the Gold and Diamond Source, 20% off diamonds there. And, of course, they have the best selection. They have the best quality. They have designers there. You can do whatever you want on an engagement ring. If you got something in mind, they can do it for you. Also, don't forget, gold has never been higher, silver as well. Bring in your old jewelry, and they will give you top dollar for that so you can get something new and shiny. They have a new men's department also with lots of baller watches. And great stuff for you guys as well. It's the Gold and Diamond Source. Mother's Day is coming up. They got big specials for that as well. So be on the lookout. 3800 Overton Road. Always online at goldanddiamond.com. Back in 3.
Well, the folks at Third Generation Plumbing and AC want to say thanks for making them so dadgum busy. Of course, advertising on your favorite Tampa Bay sports talk show helps, but it's their incredible customer service, honesty, and integrity that have earned them tons of 5-star reviews. And now you could be part of the team at Third Generation. Yes, they are so slammed, they need to hire more certified AC technicians and plumbers. It's a great family business to work for. My buddy John Rodriguez runs an old school family business since 1995. They pay well, give you all the holidays off, and they offer great benefits. No cold corporate atmosphere here. You're part of the family. If this sounds cool to you, call them and apply at 813-961-8024, or you can email your resume in at thirdgenerationplumbing.com. Just go to the website, you'll see the button, email them, or call them at 813-961-8024. And don't forget about the $169 yearly maintenance special. It's a no-brainer, guys. thirdgenerationplumbing.com, and they also do AC.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the JP Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream, fanstreamsports.com.
Welcome to Kingmakers, home of the JP Peterson Show studio and Tampa's premier business networking and social club for members only. By day, it's an exclusive, vibrant co-working space with a stylish conference room, focus rooms, a full production studio, and an in-house marketing team. And by night, Kingmakers transforms into a sports-centric social hub with a full sports bar, golf simulator, and exclusive events. For young entrepreneurs and seasoned professionals, it's the perfect place to work hard, play hard, and make big moves in Midtown Tampa. Close the deal, celebrate the win. Only at Kingmakers. Become a member today at kingmakerstampa.com. Your business, your club. Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by all these fantastic companies you see at the bottom of the screen. Pitch Roofing, Riveters, the best sports bar in all of Tampa Bay. Italiano Insurance can save you thousands. They do all the work. You save all the money. The Golden Diamond Source, Kingmakers Tampa, Third Generation Plumbing, Cafe Paradiso, Genesis of Tampa, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. If you would like to sponsor the JP Peterson Show, we got room for you. Just email me, jp@thejppetersonshow.com. Numbers are going through the roof. We really appreciate all of our supporters, and sponsoring the show is probably less than you think. We can send you a prospectus. Just email me, jp@thejppetersonshow.com. You can also advertise on the Big O Show, Orestes de Estrada, the best Rays podcast in the market by far. All right, let's get to the Rays. Nice sweep of the Twins this weekend. I think my highlights are these. Number one, boy, I feel like Junior Camanero's, have been about a B- for him, where he's capable of, and he's what 8 home runs now? Where are we at? 8?
He's got 8 home runs. He's on pace for 50.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like that, right? But maybe
he quietly was on like a 10-game hitting streak.
Yeah,
before I think it ended yesterday.
My point is, I think the best is yet to come this year for him. It almost feels like a slow start, but it's not. It's not. So good for him. And that pitch he hit 450 feet. I mean, how do you get that much power at that? The ball was like, it's not up in his eyes, but it was shoulder high. To get that much power through that's just insane. He is able to contort his body to get it to the power point when he hits the ball, whether it's ball is down and in on his shoes, whether it's up high and outside. He's so good at taking the ball where it's pitched and maximizing his power. Obviously, having the quickest hands in the game is part of that, because he can wait so long and then just put his body in the position to get a power swing on it. And it's electric. It's unlike anything you see across baseball, in my opinion. And I'm so glad he's a Ray and will hopefully be a Ray for a very long time if we can get this stadium deal done. And I think he will be. That was a big highlight. I thought Shane McClanahan on Saturday, 5 innings, 3 hits, scoreless, 7 strikeouts. It used to be his power. He had his power game, just blow fastballs by it. This changeup he's working now, his off-speed stuff is elite. It's elite, and he's really starting to control it now.
Yeah, he's throwing it 16% more, or at least he threw it 16% more in this last outing than he had in his previous 4 this season. So that's clearly The changeup, yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's clearly becoming a pitch that he has a lot of trust in. The fastball is up to it was 97.7 was what he topped out at the other day. So which I'll take. I don't think he needs to exert any more anything to try to like throw 99 or 100 or anything like that. I think that's perfectly fine when you have the changeup working, when you have the slider working, generated 15 whiffs in 5 innings pitched. Most importantly, I think he threw 86 pitches and 60 of them were strikes. Yep. That's the most important thing right now for Shane McClanahan. I mentioned the start he had before this one, even though he got roughed up a little bit, the stuff looked a lot better, and it got even better against Minnesota. So Shane McClanahan, while maybe not all the way completely back, I think check back in about a month from now. I think we're going to be talking about Shane McClanahan looking, even closer to what he his former self.
I totally agree. And maybe this is a bit of a wave of the future, for all these hard throwing pitchers that are coming up right now. It's like, hey, back off a little bit and work on your change and your off speed stuff. And you don't have to throw max effort every single time, because obviously you talk to Smoltz, who said this on his program many, many times. That's the difference is guys, and there's a lot of things, but that's one of the things is when you're throwing that hard all the time, max effort, that's when you get injured. So you back it off a little bit like he's done and, throw 80, 85%. What did Ben Hogan say about the golf swing? You should never swing full out. You should swing 80, 85%. Lets your body, because you could produce almost more power with less effort because your timing is better. For golf, you're hitting the sweet spot more, and for pitchers, you're hitting that sweet spot of your timing and your pitches a little bit more. So, and obviously not as much wear and tear. So that's a better idea. Aranda had a big 2-run single, even though he's hitting 227. I think he's second in the league in RBIs. So he just strikes me as that kind of guy that locks in and makes it happen when he's got guys on base.
Had the 2 home runs Friday night as well.
Yep. The 2 home runs, his power is, and he's got easy power, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't overswing, just easy power. Love that.
I like to see I'd like to see Aranda, obviously the strikeouts, I think, it's early in the season, obviously. So a lot of these guys are still getting all the kinks worked out. Even now, a lot of guys are scuffling along the league who you wouldn't expect to, but I'd like to see the strikeouts come down a little bit for him. I think he's got 28 so far, which leads the team. But other than that, I like where Jonathan Aranda is. To your note about Caminero, the strikeouts for him, he's got 18 so far. Like, that's not bad. That's not bad for a 7-game sample size, especially with the way he was getting pitched earlier on in the season. So I just like over, and you got to give a shout out to the pitching too for the Rays.
Yeah.
You go out there and give up 6 runs or 5 runs and these over this last 4-game winning streak. Pitching was phenomenal. Pitching was just
the Griffin Jacks Schulten's combination is devastating. Jacks pitched really well. And those Nicky numbers brought this to us early in the season, where Griffin Jacks' high leverage end of game numbers were terrible. They were just much different than his other numbers. So now it's like, he was a starter. Now we're thinking about moving him back to being a starter, and he was really good yesterday. And maybe that's where he's best suited mentally. What do you think?
They got any way that you can find a way to get him going. I'm open to it. I think that was pretty wise of Kevin Cash to just settle him down a little bit, let him start the game out. I think there's a little bit less pressure maybe in that, obviously not being a super high leverage situation. And I thought the stuff looked good. He looked a lot calmer on the mound. And then that leads into Jesse Schultens. And listen, I'd be honest, I had no idea who Jesse Schultens was until 3 weeks ago. 32nd round draft pick years ago. He's been quietly effective. I kind of would say that he reminds me a little bit of the Zach Littell of the current Rays, kind of that role, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I like that. Those are all great developments this weekend that we saw. And Yandy with an inside backside homer yesterday from Alex Nunn. Yeah, he's just that pitch and that drive. He's just so good. Yandy is just. He's as good as he's ever been.
Getting better with age.
He really does. He's just such a good hitter, man. He's just It's just so fun to watch. I mean, it's like watching Tony Gwynn. He rarely misses the barrel of the bat. He's just so good. All right, let's get to any other stuff on the Rays this weekend. Oh, real quick on the stadium deal. So there's back and forth on from the Rays and Hillsborough County trying to get this memo of understanding. The key piece here, we've been talking about this for a while, is this. One of the key pieces is the state funding. And from a timing standpoint, that state funding may not be available if they don't get a memo of understanding. Now, a memo of understanding is different from a final development agreements. So what you want to do is get the memo of understanding that basically outlines the entitled framework, right, a financial framework, who's paying for what, where it's coming from, what the timing is, et cetera, the return, taxes, when will the entire project be built out, because that's important, because that's where the money's coming back from the taxpayers, right, to the taxpayers with the property taxes. So that stuff all has to be built out. And the county wants to know when that's going to happen and have some guarantees that it's going to happen, which I think is fair. And right now, the Rays are more of we'll give you a good faith guarantee on that. And I think the county wants a little bit more than that. And I think that's fair. So I think a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now is procedural. How we get it, like when does it get paid, who's paying for it, like in what bucket is it coming from? Because I think the numbers are pretty much solid. Now, there seems like the CIT tax. Is it taxable? Is it not taxable? A lot of stuff, frankly, I don't understand. What I'm being told is all these things that we're talking about, like the framework is there. Now, there's about $135 million gap, $75 to $135 million gap, or $100 million, 135 million, 75 million, 135 million gap. So where does that get picked up? There's other funding sources that are kind of down the road, tourist taxes that Joshua Wostall wants to use. And so that wouldn't be upfront money for the Rays. So we're kind of stuck in this. How do we get to the upfront money? What is the interest payment going to be? Can we get the memo of understanding done, which will basically lock in the state funding for Hillsborough College, and they don't have to go back and get that? So to me, a lot of this stuff that you're seeing right now is, again, part of the negotiations, and it's procedural. None of it is what I would call an entrenched stumbling block. So that's where I get a little, again, pissed off about all this. Last week it was, they didn't meet the deadline, the deal is dead. Untrue. Then it's like, this deadline coming up is going to be about, the state money that may go away. Well, okay, if you get the memo of understanding done, that would ensure, what I'm being told is that will ensure the state funding is passed. So again, a lot of this stuff is procedural. It needs to be worked out. The language has to be done, and we're getting down to the nitty gritty of it. And so if we weren't, negotiating in public, which is basically what's being done, then we wouldn't even know any of this, and they would just present it at the end, and we'd look at it and we'd say, okay, but this daily, this is a snag, it's going to cost us the deal. To me, it's a bunch of clickbait, and it's irresponsible journalism, and that's what we're seeing a lot of. So, and it's not even, I don't even think it's presented as such, as part of the deal, part of the negotiations, etc. So that's where, again, a lot of people are negative about this. I get it. If you're reading everything every day, every little snag in the negotiation seems like a deal killer. It's not. And when you look at the greater, we had, I think it was 64 local business leaders, Tampa Bay business leaders, who signed on to a letter this weekend saying, what a great deal this is, an opportunity for Tampa Bay. And these are the movers and shakers, the business folks who understand investment, development, velocity of cash, return to the taxpayers, economic impact on multiple levels, not direct but indirect. These are the folks that really, really understand that, and they look at this deal and they say it's kind of a no-brainer. Now, that being said, you got to get the contracts right. You got to make sure it's fiscally responsible and the timing of the payments and all those things. And that's what they're kind of doing right now. So that's that. All right, let's get to comments, shall we?
Do it.
If you see something, pop it up, partner. Alex Nunn says the fans are just exhausted. We just want our baseball team. I know, partner. We all are. We're all exhausted with this. But again, I think part of the problem is this daily reporting on the process. And every time something goes wrong or there's a sticking point, which is completely normal for all these things, especially with deals of this size, it's like the sky is falling and the deal is off. And I think that's what pisses fans off. It gets them, oh, it's dead. Oh, it's back. Oh, it's dead. It's back. No, it's just, this is part of the process. And I think when you're reporting on it, you need to put that disclaimer in there. But of course, their job is to get clicks. So it's much better. It's much better for them to put out these ridiculous headlines and, so every time you read a story, especially in the TBT, it's a ridiculous headline. The first part of it is the sky is falling. And then paragraph 9, it says, but this is, there'll be a quote from somebody who says, this is easily handled. We'll figure it out. Which, and when you have that quote, it kind of, it should be put at the top instead of the bottom. And then the stories don't have the impact in terms of clickbait, but they're also much more accurate in their tone. And this is my opinion, so it is what it is. I'm sure the people who are writing it will disagree, but then again, I know what their job is. It's to get views. It's to get clicks. All right.
I was going to hit Alejandro's comment here about Jax. He says the Rays might be considering converting Griffin Jax back to a starting pitcher. And honestly, I think it could work. Clay Holmes went from relief pitcher to starter for the Mets, and he's been good. Drew did it. The Rays have done it with a lot of guys. They did it with Drew, been a smashing success. They did it with Jeffrey Springs. That was a success. And they did it with Zach Littell. That was another success. In fact, I'm trying to think, have they tried that before and it hasn't worked out with a guy? I can't really think. I just think of those 3 examples off the top of my head of guys who they converted to starting pitchers. I think he's got the arsenal to do it. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. His stuff is great. It's just when he gets in high leverage.
Sweeper's nasty.
Yeah, it's just when he gets in high leverage, he just can't control it. He seems to get nervous or I don't know what, and he just goes too many balls. Gator Boys Stay Hot says, Kevin Kelly is my favorite bullpen pitcher. Boy, there was a time where nobody wanted to see Kevin Kelly on the mound.
Yeah, earlier.
It wasn't too long ago. He also says, I think it's a he. I want to say this team can make a playoff, but it's early, and I need to see some things from against Cleveland. To be honest, yeah, we're way early, bro. Way early.
No, we're way through expectations though so far. I mean, they're sitting at 16-11 right now, and that's second in the American League. And there's only 5 teams in the American League right now who are sitting over 500. So the AL's been down across the board, and yet the Rays are sitting second right now. And this was the other thing too that I thought was interesting. The Rays are 11-1 against every team in the baseball that's not in the NL Central.
I know.
And the NL Central is the best team in the best division in baseball. So take that.
So what does that tell you? Is they're not so good against good teams? I mean, the Yankees a good team?
The Yankees are 18-10 and they swept them.
Right.
They have 3. Yeah. I mean, they have 3 sweeps. I don't know. I mean, the NL Central certainly has given them fits to start this season. I think there's no debating that.
And to your point, here's what I think is exciting is like Shane is going to get better if he stays healthy, right?
Yeah.
We could get Pepio back at some point, right? Who can be dominant? Who can be dominant?
I don't like the messaging that you hear about Pepio right now.
But I'm just saying, I still think we're, even at 16-11, I still think we're at our B- game. I still think we're having a hard time throwing out base runners. You know, Defensively, I think we can be better than we've been.
Sure.
I think we're still running into too many outs on the bases. I still think our hitting is not, I mean, like I said, Aranda's at 227. He could be better. I think Caminero could be better, you know, and I don't mean that as a slight. I think he's going to get hotter. Yeah, I think this center field thing is going to sort itself out, and we're going to see less Cedric Mullins and more Johnny DeLuca, which I think is going to make us a better baseball team. I don't know. You know, I just don't know if Cedric's got it anymore. You know, I don't see a lot.
Well, I don't really care for the. I don't really. I'm very out on the Fraley hitting fifth, Cedric hitting sixth sort of combo that they had been doing for a while. I'm there.
I think we can get a lot better there, right? We got Gavin Lux hasn't even played yet. I don't know what.
Yeah,
if he's going to be better than Ben Williamson.
Yeah, I don't know. Ha-Sung Lux is. I don't know about that guy yet.
Okay, I kind of like that. Douglas Batista says, I love Caminero, but his decision-making in the field needs work. Yesterday I was there and he fielded a grounder that should have been walls, cut balls off, made an error, put the runner on base. Yeah. He's making a lot of mental errors in the field. Again, this is part of the defense that I think is going to get markedly better. When he settles down a little bit defensively, and I just think he's overthinking it. He's put too much stress on it. You know, I think in the offseason, he's like, this is where I can get better. And that's so good because he cares. He actually cares, you know, but I think he's like overthinking it a little bit too much. He just needs to like let it come to him and not try to be a superstar and overthink it. Just make the regular plays and you'll be fine. Because I think he's talented defensively. I really do. And we got to remember, he's only 22. He's only 22. So defensively, he's going to get way better.
We got a lot of comments here about the Bucs draft too.
Let's get to those.
I went up here and hit. We haven't hit any of those yet. Starting with Kings. Don't like the Trotter. Bucs basements, right? I don't like the Trotter pick, just like I didn't like the JTS pick, the Logan Hall pick, and the Buswell pick. I trust my gut when it comes to picks. I don't like, and he adds, and notice that all these picks always come in the top rounds where Light is just not good at drafting defensive players. Ruben Bain fell to Light, and I think like Light thought he would get lucky again.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Well, I is interesting. If you look at the Bucs' projected defense right now, Yaya Diaby, he's a draft pick. Vita Vea is a draft pick. Kalijah Cansey's a draft pick. Ruben Bain's a draft pick. Josiah Trotter's a draft pick. Zion, Tyke, Winfield, Scott Parrish. So 10 of your 11 starters are all draft picks. So I know people. I know people get on to Jason a lot, and they like doesn't know how to draft defensive players. He has a blind spot with a couple positions. I think it's unfair to say that he just hasn't been able to draft good defensive players, period. Because I think I just listed a lot of really good players that are in your starting lineup.
Yeah, and when you don't forget, we watch every game, guys, right? We all do, right? And we come back to the same things. And I'm not gonna ever forget these things that are true. When your top players are saying your defense is too complicated, we don't practice hard enough, too many off days, Hall of Famers are talking about it being too complicated, then we witness constant mental breakdowns, mental mistakes in game 14, 15, and 16. It comes back to one thing, and that's coaching. And we could say these players weren't developed. I didn't pay attention, honestly, to what JTS did this year or some of the ones that have left us. Nothing. I don't know. But to me, so much of this, and I'm not absolving the players because I see players get beat all the time. But are they a step short because they're thinking too much? I don't know. But this talent level on this defense looks good. They've got a legitimate edge rusher, at least the potential of one, two. Really, I think Yaya I think he's a good player and should be improving. But he had 7.5 sacks this year, right?
Yeah.
Would he have his rookie season?
The
7.5 sacks.
The thing though is like Yaya, he should be a 2. I think if you're getting that from your second pass rusher, I think we're good with it. I think the problem is the last couple years he had to be the number 1 guy, and when you see that production, you kind of go, meh. When in reality, I think Yaya's a really good player. I just think he's been miscast as a number 1 because of some of the issues that they haven't been able to find a playing partner next to him. But I think Ruben Bain, hopefully, we're projecting, solves that issue. If I get that production out of Yaya Diaby this year, and I get what I think I could get from Bain moving forward, like I'm fine with that. That's good production from a second edge rusher.
Well, let's see.
Yeah.
Joel Forsman says another season of where the offensive talent drafted will impress and the defensive talent will fail to reach its potential. Wonder why. Buckin says, I was pretty apathetic going into the season, but the draft has given us some new life. I would agree with that. Wholeheartedly.
Do you think, and I maintain even after free agency, I thought the Bucs were the best team of the NFC South. I don't know if you were quite there yet to say that.
Yeah. And frankly, I haven't studied the other teams' drafts. So I can't. I'm going to plan on doing that this week. But I still think this should be the best team in the NFC.
It's the most talented team top to bottom in the division still. But I know that we have bigger goals around here at this point.
Yeah, Buck says Billy was the captain at Notre Dame too. Great leadership. Yeah, I love that pick. And that's the thing. You can get good guards in that part of the draft, and we needed to.
Yeah, I think that was even the tight end they got, who not a lot of people necessarily knew about. Bauer Sharp, another guy.
Interesting.
Another guy who's super athletic. He blocks his ass off, and there's some good tape out there of him just moving guys like 10 yards down the field.
6'5", 250.
Yeah, and I think they needed to add something else to that room because I think Cade, Payne, Devin. I feel like they needed to add another guy into the mix there, and someone's going to be the odd man out. Probably going to tell you it's probably going to be Keefe. Unfortunately, because I think
they love him as special teams player. Though.
I know they love Co, but this guy should be a better blocker than Co, though. He should be.
Yeah, he's a better block. He should be a better blocker and much better receiver of the football. He had 2 touchdowns, 25 catches, 211. I mean, not spectacular, but can catch a football.
There's some untapped potential there.
I agree. King Cook says Scott and Parrish combo on the field is going to be crazy. Yeah, I love that. Jeremy says Cape Hart will be fun to watch. Very aggressive and with some speed for a big guy. He ran a 4.8 over 30-plus pounds. Yeah, and had 34-inch vertical. 34-inch vertical at 315 pounds. Holy shizbang. King Cook also says Steve Smith was big on Hurst, though. He feels he can be a breakout receiver, so we shall see.
Steve Smith's got a good track record picking out wide receivers, and that's what he said on whatever draft show he was on. He said that he had been saying all along that the Bucs and Ted Hurst were a great fit. And for him to say that about the Bucs, too, being a Panthers guy, pretty notable. So
Nathan Elliott says 14 teams had a chance to draft Bain. 14 teams passed. There were 17 other teams who could have moved up and drafted him. Bucks got a guy that can be a stud and cost them the 15th pick. Go Buck. Yeah, he's got a chip on his shoulder. Ain't no doubt about that. King Cook says it's going to be hard not to get Scott on the field. His tape flashes left and right. That kid is a football player. I know. I cannot believe he was still there. When I saw that pick, I was like, wait, he's still on the board?
Yeah. You just got to wow. It's just an interesting sort of archetype of player that they've put together, specifically in the secondary, because Keontae Scott, Antoine Winfield Jr., Tyke Smith, Jacob Parrish, all those guys do their best work near the line of scrimmage. So is that a good thing necessarily? Like, it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of fit all these puzzle pieces together. Because remember how I said, like, moving Tyke to safety last year, I think you might have lost a little bit of his ability going forward. And it's the same thing with Winfield when they kind of took him away from the box too, where you're getting the best out of him. So you kind of got a lot of players who do kind of fit the same role, but I think they're just trying to fit to Todd's defense, to be honest with you. And you can judge if that's correct process or not.
Joel Forsland says, Bowles says, just do what you did in college. No, we need more than that. Coach him up, Todd. Yeah, that's always seemed like kind of a weird thing.
Oh, when it comes to Bain, I'm good with that. But
yeah.
With Trotter, I need a little more for sure.
All right. Anything else on here that we need? Here's one more. Notice that all these picks come in the top of the rounds where Light just is not good at drafting defensive player. Or yeah, we already read that one. Sorry. I think we got them all.
There's a couple more that came in here. From Mr. King 03 said, to be fair, the draft gives everyone new life. Hell, the Falcons fans think they had the best draft in the division. There were a lot of people who were high on the Panthers draft as well for the value that they got. That's what Mr. King said. I still believe the Falcons and Saints are better than Tampa personally. So, yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. But I still think this division, while they've gotten a little better overall, I don't think it'd be any shocking to see this division still hovering around that like 9-win, 10-win at most range to win it.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that really anybody in the division had slam dunk draft. I don't know.
I thought I know we're Bucs people, but if you go look at all like the all the people who cover the draft religiously, they've all had the Bucs like in their top 5 drafts, and giving them stellar grades across the board from the people who really grind this stuff. So I don't think it's just us saying it. I think it's universally agreed upon.
What'd you think of the draft coverage from ESPN mostly?
What do you think?
First of all, I'll just be totally honest with you. I don't watch a lot of it. I don't watch a lot of it. It's just so much.
It just felt like, I don't know if they shortened the time this year.
Well, I thought that was great. I thought that
from
was
10
great.
minutes to 8, and it flew by. But it felt like TV though was so behind. Like, you try to stay off Twitter during the draft because you kind of want to get the surprise element, but it's hard. It's really hard to. It's just really hard to. And I was seeing stuff, and I was working the draft. So, like, I was, like, having to be on Twitter, like, seeing everything happen in real time before TV. Like, we were getting picks that were coming in, like, three teams out already had selections in, and ESPN, they hadn't even announced the team that was currently on the clock. Like, the timing of it didn't exactly work out well for TV side. And I don't know if that's just growing pains or whatnot, but with the track record over there, it's hard for me to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. I watched most of the first round till the Bucs picked. And I loved the pace. The pace was really, really good. And that was probably my favorite part of it, but I'm glad we're past it, to be honest with you. I like to see the guys get in here now, and we can start watching them with our own eyes. Bucs rookie mini camp is going to start next week. They'll bring him in on, I believe, Monday it is. So we'll get over there and talk to some of the kids. And I think it's always great to get a feel for who they are as people. You can get a feel for kind of how aggressive they are in terms of, how they play. Hey, a couple of things left over from last week. I want to get your take on, as I know you cover a lot of college football. Did you see the comments from Alex Golish about not being able to win a national championship at USF? Which, it's one of those things where the fans get really pissed off about that, because that's not what he was saying when he was there. That's not what he was selling his recruits. it's not what came out of his mouth. And as soon as you get to somewhere like Auburn, you're like, oh, we can, it's different here. We actually have a chance. Now, theoretically, is he right? I would say yes. I would say yes.
Listen, you have to be honest with yourself. He didn't
Right.
he didn't tell a lie. I think the thing here though is a lot of USF fans were ready to move on from out. They had no problem with him leaving. They were already sort of, I feel like, sour grapes or a certain feeling about Alex Golish based on the way the season ended. So anything he does now, the fact that he's like talking about USF still while he's got his nice cushy job at Auburn, I think that turns people off. And the fact that when he came here, and this is why it's so hard to talk about this, because like when you come to a new place, no matter where it is, you have to sell everything, right? You have to say all the great things. And Alex Golish came out there and said, I believe we can win a championship here. Like he said that when he got here. But I know it like makes him seem like he's inauthentic and not being genuine, but these are just things that you have to say. And me personally, I never look at them and go, oh, he truly believes that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I understand if you're like a hardcore fan and everything, you look at it differently.
Yeah, and it's just unnecessary. He's taking shots at USF that are completely unnecessary.
Yeah, he didn't need to say it, but he's not wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And the way I've kind of defended him is because it's hard to move on from other places, but admitting that you weren't all in the most critical games as your team was going for trying to get in the playoff. I mean, they weren't going to win the playoff, but it's just, when you have a transcendent player like Byron Brown, you always have an opportunity, but you also shouldn't be losing to teams like Navy in that situation. And to come out and say, maybe I wasn't all in when I was dealing with these other things, that's not a good look. Not a good look.
It's not a good look. And I think it's well within a USF fan's right to be upset at the fact that they definitely had the best roster in the American, quite frankly.
Yeah.
They certainly had the best resources. You should have won that conference championship last year.
Yeah.
You should have.
100%. It should have been in the playoff.
Yeah. It shouldn't have been North Texas or I can't even remember was it North Texas who won it or whoever? I can't even remember anymore, but it shouldn't have been that. Yeah. It should have been USF.
Yeah, had they run the table, they would have been in the playoff, and that would have been a huge feather in the cap, and just brought so much notoriety to USF. I think it really would have put them, even closer to moving up into the P4, P5, or whatever the hell it's going to be. It was important, and he screwed that up. And frankly, if you're asking me, will he still be at Auburn in 5 years? Nah, he won't. I don't think he's going to have success in that league.
I don't know, because Auburn to me just seems very dysfunctional right now.
Yeah.
It's probably the word I would use. And I feel like that's a pressure cooker job. It's very much so a pressure cooker job. And Alex is sort of, he didn't exactly retain any of the top talent that was already sitting there in Auburn. And they had some really good players. They all went elsewhere. And he brought a lot of his USF guys in. And there's proof of concept that can work for sure. But it's a different animal. Can he recruit it well enough? All those things. He hasn't been at a place yet where he's been, dared to recruit at that level. And it's a big step up. But that's Auburn's problem now. I think if you're a USF fan, you're still entirely optimistic about the future of the program and Brian Hartline coming in, which we continue to say is, you talk about best case scenario. I think they punched above their weight getting Brian Hartline.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. Did you see Hartline at the draft too?
I did.
Yeah, he was there for Carnell Tate, who he coached to a 4th overall pick, which thought was a little high, but it just goes to show he's a really good coach. Now I don't know how he's going to be as a head coach, as far as managing games, but everything I've seen so far, I really, really like. And they've had to replace so many players. It's really hard to get a feel for what USF will look like. But I think obviously they have a really good chance to win their league again. And to your point, they've got a lot of advantages over a lot of other teams in the American in terms of what they're spending and keeping it real. By the way, late last week, Will Weatherford stepped down on the board of regents at USF. which, obviously he was the point person in getting the stadium done. But he certainly put USF on the track to be heading to a bigger and better conference and getting the stadium done. I'm not sure what Will's going to do now. I know, he works at, Franklin Street. I think that's his firm. Obviously been huge in this Rays acquisition, and maybe there's a spot with him within the Rays that he's going to be working at full time, which I think would be great. And if it's, helping out Babby get the stadium done and completed in terms of not only the votes, but the actual logistics and getting the stadium done, that will be huge. And again, another super talented, super smart, high-level political person, been the Speaker of the House, obviously in the state of Florida, has done so many great things, member at Augusta National now. So absolutely connected and a great asset to Tampa Bay. And if you're listening, Will, love to have you on the show. Trying to get in touch with you. So, all right, that'll do it for us today. Thank you guys for all your comments. I think we got to all of them today. Really appreciate that. Nick, great job from you. Please like and subscribe on all our social media. We have a new X account, FanStream Sports Tampa Bay. Check out our website, you can check out. Make sure you're checking in on that. I'll put it on your favorites list as well. And as always, thanks for the super chats and your financial support and our sponsors as well. Have a great day, everybody. The Rays playing today, or they got the day off?
I think they play today, yeah.
They're going on to Cleveland. All right. Go Rays. We'll see you tomorrow.